All right, perfect. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Ready to
morning,
get started
everyone.
for today. Yes. Go ahead,
Good-
Teresa.
Okay, good morning again, everyone. And thank you so much for joining Ask the Experts. I am here with Janila Brown, who is a real estate entrepreneur that started in 2018 flipping houses. She currently serves the community as realtor with a focus on residential buyers, veterans, and investors. She loves Jesus, family time, decorating, volunteer work, good food, and she is also a counselor. Follow her on Instagram at REWITHJANILAB, and that is at Re with Janila. Or call her at 281-215-3307. And we also have Vanda Crossley. She is not only a dedicated realtor and mentor, but also a licensed Texas lender with Loan Factory, offering a unique advantage to home buyers and homeowners alike. With expertise in both real estate and financing, she helps uh, creates, navigates the client with the home buying process with ease, whether they're purchasing, investing, or refinancing. I am Charissa Wilkes, and I'm also a realtor with eXp Realty, and I bring decades of experience. I love helping with home buying, selling, or anything that has to do with real estate in the surrounding areas. And I can be reached at 713-805-1615. And I'm also on Instagram at Realtor Charissa. Thank you for joining us. Our hot topic for today is vacation homes and short-term rentals, profiting in peak travel season. So thank you for joining us.
So, and then, yes, we are going to get into our topic today. But first, we do have our market update from Vanda. Again, Vanda is a lender with the Loan Factory. And so we're going to let Vanda take over with our market update.
Well, the market today is like every day, up and down because of the big, beautiful bill that's been passed. I've been doing a lot of research on that and seeing how it's going to affect homeowners. And there are some positives in there. They have extended some of the credits for some of the incentives for buying a home. And they've taken away some of the incentives like the solar credit that they were giving. It's going to end at the end of this year instead of the end of next year. So if anybody is thinking about getting solar on their home, now's the time to do it. So that's one of the things I'm going to be focusing on in the next couple of months. I know these solar companies are going to be bombarded with people. So the time is to get in there now so you can get on their schedule so you can get it installed before the end of the year. So all markets, they change, they fluctuate daily. So I would advise you to go to my website, loanfactory.com, Vanda Crossley, or just go to Loan Factory and it's updated periodically. You can get rate alerts for what you're looking for, and it'll automatically come to your email daily.
Awesome, awesome. So yes, check out loanfactory.com/ Vanda Crossley in order to set your alerts up so that you can have the news that matters to you in regards to the market, interest rates, and such. All right. So awesome, awesome. Yes, we are in a fluctuating market. Um, and our topic today is in regards to short-term rentals, vacation homes. Yes, the big, beautiful bill has been passed, and so lots of effects. And yeah, I've been doing some research too. And there definitely are some pluses to it. And some ways that homeowners will be saving, but you have to just be aware, right? This is the time, this is why home ownership is so important, and really understanding how you can leverage your home ownership, the different tax breaks that you now qualify for, depending on the type of home that you have, things like that. When you understand that, you can experience a lot of wonderful savings. Okay. And so, again, today's topic is vacation rentals. And in the Houston market, vacation rentals are still pretty popular. We have less rules and zoning and things like that, restrictions. We have less restrictions than some of the other cities and states around the country. And so it is a great place to continue to produce short-term rentals. Now, you do have to be mindful of your neighborhoods that you're buying in, right? So, from the investor perspective, being mindful of the neighborhoods that you're buying in, because they do contain HOAs that have restrictions, deed restrictions, and things like that. Where people just don't want to live next door to the local Airbnb. And so you have to pay attention to those things and be mindful of that. But you can still turn a really good profit in this market. Um, as far as what you guys are seeing out there with investors in purchasing short-term rentals, do you still have people approaching you for short-term rentals, Vanda, Charissa?
I don't. I don't have anybody that's looking for short-term rentals now. They want long-term rentals.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, and a lot of my clients are looking for houses where they can convert to, like, I don't say a nursing home, but a multiple person living situation where they rent the rooms out or rent the beds out versus just
Mm.
having one family in there for a while. So that's kind of the market that I'm in now.
Gotcha. And that's interesting. And I think that we all know Steady, and that's kind of he moved into more long-term rentals with Section 8 and things like that. And I think that that is possible. Like, it is, as much as short-term rentals can be good, right? If you already got a system. But I was noticing in some of the markets that I was looking in, more so like in the Austin market, Hill Country and things like that, like a lot of those investors are selling their short-term rentals like already in place, like basically buy the whole package, right? You can keep the name, you can keep the setup, you can keep the super host, the 5-star rating, take the property.
Furniture, the towels, the sheets, and
Exactly. Like, literally just take everything and build this, continue to run this business that's already set up. Um,
then you got to
so I
wonder,
think the
why are they selling it? Why is it not profitable? Is it the turnover? You got to have good people going in there between uh visits to clean up and all that stuff. Is it really worth it? I did have one here in Houston and they said it wasn't worth what they were making from it. So, because you do on those sites, you have fees that you got to pay, and it
Mhm.
just wasn't worth it, the manpower it put into it. So they more wanted long term, where maybe they have to do it once a year instead of every week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is true. I mean, what do you think? I mean, and think about this too, like property taxes have gone up. So the increase in property tax, I think, has also had an effect, because you have to think, especially for those who own homes. I know there is rental arbitrage, and a lot of people were doing that with apartments. And apartments have really shut that down a lot. They're being more mindful and gotten savvy to the ways that people were getting around and creating the rental arbitrage clause. Um, and getting creative, right? And so, but with that, if you own the property and your property taxes go up, I mean, it's affecting both short-term and long-term rentals. Um, because now, even if you don't have a mortgage, right, that expenditure has increased. And maybe the rents aren't increasing as quickly as they would like, or being able to charge, because you kind of do get priced out on a short-term rental. Like if you have a short-term rental that was like $69 a night or $100 a night, you can't jump up to $500 now and start charging $500 a night. Like that's a stretch.
So on a personal note, you mentioned rental arbitrage. We have a rental in another state, and because we're not living in that state, we don't, go over there and see it often. Well, we went and found out that the person we rented it to has rented it to a couple of other people that we don't know. So,
Wow.
yeah, and so that's one of the things when you're an absentee owner that you have to be mindful of as well. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And it's to your point of what you said about local people having a local team. Because even in Houston, like you don't really want to drive on the other side of town every week to turn beds, do laundry and stuff like that, right? So having local people that are on that side of town or in that state that are taking care of the property and monitoring it. Um, is really important. So it does matter who you're partnered with to take the load off. But I cannot believe that happened.
yeah, I
So
hate.
have you talked to the renter, like the person who you signed the lease with?
Yes, my husband is handling that. But come find out she
Good.
bought another house. She owns another house somewhere else.
Wow.
It's a mess. So yeah, we're gonna get that straightened out.
Gotcha, gotcha. Wow. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It happens. We've had our squatter situation,
Mhm.
where we were in the midst of trying to clean the property and get things turned over. And then all of a sudden there was a squatter in there claiming that they had lived there since 2014, and
Oh
like,
wow.
no. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, people definitely, take advantage of the situation. And with short-term rentals too, that was a thing as well, is people not wanting to leave, right?
Mm.
Because you think about it, in a short-term rental situation, they're not checking your rental history, because this is, you sign up to be in the property at most for a couple of days or maybe a week or two, right? If
Yeah.
you're traveling on business, they're not expecting you to move in. So they're not checking your rental history. Well, come to find out that these people had been evicted from their rental, their residence, and they were moving into Airbnbs and then deciding, like, oh, well, I'll just stay here. I don't really have, there's no rental contract, right? It's a short term contract. But what short term renter is not going to go, okay, let's keep renewing this, right? And then they just don't move out. And then they stop paying, right? Because that's pricey to pay $100 a night, $200 a night, and whatever got you evicted, typically you've lost your job or something like that has happened. It's definitely causing these issues. And so I know a couple of short-term investors that have said that hassle was too much.
So what did they end up doing? Cutting, because the landlord's still paying the water, the electricity, the internet. They're still paying all that to keep it going. Do they cut that off, or do they report that to the authorities and have them evicted? How does that work? Do you know?
So, what happened was, is in most cases they were paying them to leave, and saying like you can't continue to stay here. They so legally, it doesn't fall under the eviction status because there is no lease documents, right? And so it's a longer process when you go through the court system and the authorities. So in most cases, they were able to either pay them to leave or, yeah, turning off the stuff. one person, the renter actually was like, okay, cool, and just had the stuff turned on in their name.
Ha! Wow.
So it's like it's very, very difficult. But I think that most of the people that I have heard from that are still successful and earning profits, um, own the properties outright, have good relationships with their cleaning people, their contractors, and things like that. But they also have higher fees. So they are making sure that they're getting people in that can either pay, will take care of the fees to take care of the property. But it definitely is a different tide. So you can still be profitable in this market. But I think that a lot of short-term rental owners are switching gears towards that long-term rental or something more sustainable. Um, just because it is getting to be a hassle and people it's just like with anything, people will find a way to ruin it for everybody else.
And the
So
system.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're always going to find the loophole, they're always going to find the way to get around the issues. And so, yeah, it's just a different day. But let me ask you this: when you travel, are you still taking advantage of Airbnbs, or are we staying back to staying in hotels?
Well, for me personally, I do a combination of both. I like both ways. And it depends on where I'm going and the amenities that the Airbnb has. So when we went to Africa, a few of us stayed at a Marriott because of the rewards points they had. A few of us stayed at a local, owned, it was Africa, so it was a local owned establishment. And then one person stayed at Airbnb. So we do a combination. When we go back in a couple of years, we're going to do the same thing. A few of us are going to stay at a hotel, a few of us stay at an Airbnb. Just depends on the accommodations and the price and everything.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think it's the same depending on where I'm going. So if it's gonna be a like a lake, like some type of water property, I would almost prefer to be in an Airbnb. Or if it's like local and I can get like good groceries and things like that, because we don't mind cooking when we're on vacation. But my husband's chiming in. Yes, I do
I
prefer the
do.
amenities in a hotel.
I mind cooking on
I
vacation.
do not like cooking on the vacation
I'm
at
not cooking
all.
on
I
vacation.
don't mind doing breakfast, but the rest of that, it's a vacation for my soul. But
Vacation.
my kid, I don't have those small kids anymore, but I know I didn't mind, the breakfast, I had no problem. But as far as the lunch, where we are already out, and I mean, for like dinner, it's depending on what all we're doing. We're tired. We're gonna get something and realize there are no snacks in the refrigerator.
And you get a cook, a chef to come in and cook for you.
Yes, yes. That's what I'm planning for our next year when we do our vow renewal. We'll do that. But I do prefer the amenities of a hotel. I like to stay in really nice hotels, like with really nice restaurants. I do prefer that. But when we're traveling with like my in-laws, brothers and sisters, cousins, and things like that. And Airbnb, it can be a hassle trying to get into a restaurant with that many people and the experience. I'm just like, I'll pass.
Yeah.
When it's just us, we can do that. But when it's a bunch of us like that, it's easier just to cook, make some spaghetti, like keep it simple. And then we'll do a couple of nights at a local restaurant to have the experience. But yeah, if we're traveling with 20 to 30 people, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to have restaurant experience or trying to choose a restaurant. That is the thing. Like, everybody's got an opinion. And then it's like, well, no, I don't want that. Well, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, I'm done. Just done.
You just got to make that decision. It's like, well, this is where we're going. If you don't like it, you don't go or you find something else. But
Now,
this is what,
ladies, I have a question here. So, every now and then I run into a real estate client, and they are like in between leaving their current location and waiting to get into their home they've just purchased. So, just wondering if the short-term rental could work this way for the real estate agents, because those clients are definitely just waiting. They just need a place to stay until when they're going to purchase their home. Because I have a client now that they're in between spaces, staying place to place just until their place is ready. So I was wondering if that. I know we're talking about vacation rentals, but I'm just wondering if that space of the short-term rentals could work that way.
oh, yeah. Yeah, my daughter used to rent her house out like that. People were getting a house built, and she lived out in close to Fulshire. And she rented her house out for about a month or 6 weeks to a couple, and they were just in between and just needed a
Mhm.
place, but they didn't want a hotel, so they wanted a house.
Mhm. And think about that. Like you can be in the area where your house is being built, right? So if you have kids, you don't have to like uproot them and move to another side of town. You can really be in the schools that they're going to be in. And that's also a great way to advertise for those people who do have short-term rentals. Going to these new construction communities and saying, hey, if you've got buyers in limbo, let them close their deal and we can work something out for them to stay here while they're waiting for you guys to finish construction. That absolutely is a wonderful idea. And I think that that's great in between. And if you can find someone like what your daughter did, where they're willing to do a month or 6 weeks, just till those contracts are signed, that's awesome because that alleviates a lot of pressure. Like buyers who are buyers and sellers, right? So people who are selling their home and wanting to buy elsewhere, that's always the nerve-wracking part is the timing. Like, okay, I need to close on my house. So a lot of times so I can have a down payment for the purchase that I'm making for my closing that's about to happen on my new home. But what am I going to do in the meantime? And we do have options for lease backs. But sometimes, the buyer is like, okay, well, I'll do a lease back for a few days or a week, but they're not willing to do a whole month to 6 weeks. So that absolutely is a great option for the client to be able to partner with a short term rental. Yeah, short-term rental owner and say, hey, um, can I get my clients into these homes for this certain length of time while they're waiting for their home to be available? So, yeah, I love that idea. That's a great idea.
And another way that someone could rent their house out is to insurance companies, because if somebody gets burned out of their house or apartment, a lot of insurance companies will pay for them to stay someplace else. So they want to stay
Mm,
in the house. So,
that's it. That's it. So there's two ways right there that are very like unconventional, but it's ways that if you are a short-term rental owner for you to stay profitable, right? Because insurance companies are paying, even companies will pay when they're relocating, when a person is relocating. Many companies will pay for those short-term rentals as well. So just taking those things into consideration, there's always, like we always say, we're always looking for ways to get the deal done, right? To make it as hassle free and stress free as possible. There's a lot of emotions involved, there is a lot of stress, but just knowing that you do have options available to you. I know that when I have um, sellers that are looking to move like to a different city or out of state, I always recommend, like, look, sell your house and get into a rental. Some people don't want to do that, but it helps you to be able to be in the area, to learn the area, to know like whether this is the place where you really want to buy. Because just driving through on a weekend, you may think like, oh yeah, I want to buy, this is where I want to live. But it may be different once you're actually living there. So just keep that in mind. Definitely. Great options for short-term rentals. So if you are a short-term rental owner, yeah, stop by these new constructions, depending on the placement of your short-term rental. Stop by the new construction places and offer your services, offer your home as a go-between for folks that are selling a home and looking to purchase in another community, or if their lease is up and they're looking to purchase in another community and their home just quite isn't ready yet, or if they are relocating and need it. That's what it's about. You know, we've taken it from just being a vacation home into an opportunity for you to make a profit, short term, quick turns of people and being able to benefit from that. So this has been an excellent session, just talking through vacation rentals, short-term rentals. Um, Depending on the situation, people are still interested in them. So in using them, and if they come with a private chef, that's even better. So if you have one of those, hit me up and let me know. I would love to give it a stay. But yeah, so we thank you so much for joining us today. Again, you have Charissa Lockett, Realtor working with buyers and sellers. Charissa, your listing. We do have a couple of listings and I do want to share those so people know what we have or what your buyers are looking for. If you want to take a moment to share those things.
Thank you, Janila. I do have a listing at 4001 Spring Branch Drive West in Pearland. That is a 5-bedroom, 3.5-bath home, and they're in a smaller community, low HOA. So if you're interested in that, I definitely can be reached at 713-805-1615. I have a couple of investors that are looking for one investor between 200,000 to 300,000, maybe somewhere in Spring, Humble, and the Champions area. The other investor is looking for maybe like an apartment that may be like a smaller apartment complex, and so they're at least starting at 500K. So someone could reach out to me about that will be great. And I'm also working with the buyer, looking for a home, preferably a 4-bedroom home up in the Spring area. So definitely appreciate if someone could reach back to me, and I'll be happy to get that worked out.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, some great opportunities there for, again, buyers in Pearland looking for a larger home in a beautiful neighborhood. Home is beautiful. Kitchen's been remodeled in Pearland, as well as anyone who has a home for sale, or you're thinking about selling and you're in that Champions, Spring Branch, or Spring area. And you've got a home for sale, Charissa would love to hear from you. I also have a listing. My listing is here in Cypress. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, gorgeous home. I'm not biased just because they're my clients. Like, this home is really well taken care of. Yeah, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. in the heart of Cypress, very close to Town Lake, if you're familiar, the boardwalk, the Berry Center, as well as Lone Star Community College. So very conveniently located in a very quiet section of the neighborhood. Well, the whole neighborhood's pretty quiet, but got lakes and walking trails and all of that good stuff. So definitely reach out to me, 281-215-3307, if you're interested in a beautiful home in Cypress, as well as I have buyers, a couple of investors looking in the spring area, and then a couple that are looking on the south side area, just for their next investment. They're looking for a good deal. All of them are, right? And then also have buyers that are going to be looking in the Tomball area, probably for new construction, but they'll do a newer home. Let's go 2020 and or newer, in the Tomball area. So if you have anything that fits any of those, we would love to hear from you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. You can comment on this video with what you have. Yeah, we just want to sell some homes and get our buyers into home ownership. So we appreciate you. Vanda, do you have anything?
I want to say get your pre-approval before you go home shopping so you know how much home you can afford. And there's lots of assistance programs out there. So I even have contacts for free credit repair. And I say free, it's really free. They'll counsel you, get you ready to be approved for a mortgage. And then you know what you can afford when you go shopping. You know how much assistance you need to ask for. If you need to get gift funds, you know how much that is, you're going to need to get. And there's lots of options out there. So it's always no unless you ask. So don't just assume, well, my credit is not good enough when you haven't really checked to see what you can afford or what you need to do to get your credit uh, good enough. So let's just start the process. You can reach out to me, 773-678-1085, or go to the website and start your application process. So with that, you're going to need at least 2 months bank statements, 2 years of tax returns, and 2 years of W-2s. And if you don't have any of that stuff, just start anyway. There are some programs where you don't need the tax returns if you've got some funds. So let's just start the process and see where you are. Thank you.
Yes. So again, get your pre-approvals. Go to the website, loanfactory.com/Vanda Crossley, Vanda Crossley, 2 S's, 1 Ley, and get those pre-approvals. It's like there's no reason not to get the pre-approval. It doesn't hurt you. It does not hurt you at all to get a pre-approval. Get a pre-approval so you know where you stand. We're having a lot of conversations with buyers that are like, well, I'd like this home. That's great, but you're not pre-approved for the home. So there's always a starting place. Get your pre-approvals first. So listen, guys, we have come to the end of today's session. We thank you so much for tuning in this vacation rental series. Like I said, if you have any questions about anything we discussed, or you want to know more about the properties that we have or the loans that are offered, please reach out to us. You can comment below in the videos, and you can find these videos uploaded on YouTube, on Vanda's page, which is, what is your YouTube channel again?
Vanda Crossley. No, living in Katy. Living in Katy, Texas.
There you go. Vanda has a lot. You can find her on a lot of channels, but Living in Katy is the one we want you to go to find this video. And you can find me at RE with Janila B. Same thing as my Instagram handle. All right, guys. Till next time, next month, second Wednesday of the month, 9:30 a.m. Take care and have a good one.
Have a great
Bye.
one, ladies.